Are you guys ready for a long ride? Because I'm going to be taking you through the next 20 years of humanity. Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome back to this Astrology, Human Design, and Gene Keys channel with me, Tan, today with you on another video. We're going to be talking about Pluto moving into Aquarius today. So before we get started, if you're interested in getting a reading, whether it's birth chart, human design, or gene keys, then head over to my website, tanastrology.com. Me and my team have a variety of different services available there. You can choose which one feels right for you and get a reading for yourself for this year even. There's a lot of changes this year. Am I right or am I right? 3 of our generational / outer planets are changing signs. Jupiter goes into Taurus, and I'll make a video about that later on this year. Saturn ingress into Pisces. Already made a video on that. If you haven't seen it, do check it out. And Pluto ingresses into Aquarius. A lot is happening this year, beautiful souls. And I think that there's a lot of anticipation, a lot of expectation. So it's going to be an interesting year. Before we talk about the themes that are coming up for us as a collective, when Pluto moves into Aquarius, I want to give you guys a quick recap of what has been happening collectively when Pluto has been in Capricorn. It's still in Capricorn as I'm making this video, but not for long. And we can apply that particular logic that we have used with Pluto and Capricorn to the logic that we can apply to the way that we perceive and read patterns when Pluto moves into Aquarius. So Pluto has been in Capricorn from the year 2008 to this year, 2023. So 15 years that Pluto has been in the same sign, which is Capricorn, and been doing a lot of transformative rebirthing process in Capricorn collectively and individually for you guys in your own natal chart, whichever houses of yours is ruled by Capricorn, then Pluto has been doing some work there. So of course, it's always interesting to consider which house in your natal chart Pluto in Capricorn was transiting. What were the themes there? What happened in 2008 for you? What themes were being laid down? And this year, specifically in March, when Pluto leaves Capricorn, what is the conclusion point of that theme that was instigated in 2008? So for me, I had this Pluto in Capricorn in my 8th house. So the past 15 years has been a very 8th housey transformative rebirth year for me. So I saw myself starting my own business towards the end of this particular transit. Well, towards the last few years of this transit. And themes of, how I can be sharing my resources with others, not just that, but also making my own resources and then combining that with another in this shared type of space, way of life, we can say. It's been very deep and transformative in that area. In 2008, I would have never thought that I would run a business. That was just something that was never, ever had it been in my mind and was even suppressed by my family, by my upbringing, and things like that. There's also been a lot of psychological changes with me and the intimacy that I've had in my relationships. I've come to really understand a lot about the psychology behind relational themes, behind intimacy, behind love, by going through that myself as well and coming out on the other end, feeling like I want to help people to transform the way that they relate, the way that they have intimacy because of what I've discovered throughout these years. So these are just personal transformations for me as Pluto has been in Capricorn for the last 15 years. And globally for the last 15 years, what the themes that we see around Pluto and Capricorn. So Pluto with keywords like power and struggle, power struggles, control, fears, mainly fears of being extinguished, surrender, transformation, and finally enlightenment. And Capricorn being themes of authority, justice, ambition, greed, or aspiration, perseverance, drive, and vitality. So when we combine these two words together, and I don't know why, but there's just this massive trend going out there, or the way that astrologers are interpreting this change in sign, as if Pluto in Capricorn had a lot of negative associations around it, and then somehow Pluto in Aquarius is going to be much more positive, because somehow Pluto in Capricorn, the power has been in the authority, and then Pluto in Aquarius, the power is now being given to the people. It's not like that. It's not like Pluto in Capricorn is negative and Pluto in Aquarius is going to be more positive. That is not how it works. That's not how astrology works. I know that we want to have hope for the future. We want to know that brighter times are coming ahead. But if we look at the timeline of history, it's always an up and down. It's a wave. We have the highs and we have the lows. And within those highs and those lows, we're always evolving and we're always changing. So if Pluto in Capricorn does bring those themes that are a little bit harder and more challenging, but there were also many positive things that came out of it, just like Pluto in Aquarius, which we'll talk about soon. So we see that when Pluto was in Capricorn, collectively and globally, with regards to like specific events and dates, we had the first Black president of the USA, Barack Obama, coming into presidency, as well as Donald Trump coming into presidency. We had the first legalization of same-sex marriage in the US. There was an increase in shared economy, like Uber, Airbnb coming into the world. The Apple business has boomed up to trillions and trillions of dollars in its success financially. COVID-19 hits, and then we cured it with regards to our researches and advancements in medicine and technology. And currently we have the war beginning with Russia's invasion of the Ukraine. So these are just some major events that have happened in the past 15 years. There's many things that have happened, obviously, but these are the ones that I've picked out to kind of give you an idea about both the successes, the positives, and the lower negative energy frequency of Pluto in Capricorn. So I want to summarize Pluto in Capricorn by saying that both success and terrors of power have been either a result of fears, which leads to power, which leads to control, and with regards to our ambition, greed, and injustice, and leading to injustice, we can say. Or we've had themes of being able to surrender, to transform our fears so that we reach enlightenment in order to persevere with drive to gain justice in terms of power themes. So these were this is the summary that I would say with regards to Pluto being Capricorn. Now let's move into Pluto in Aquarius, and what does that mean for the next 20 years? So with regards to specific dates, Pluto moves into Aquarius in March of 2023 and will remain there until January of 2044. So 21 years, that's the total number of years. That's much longer than Pluto being in Capricorn. So as I go into the themes of Pluto being in Aquarius, I will talk about this collectively and globally, but you can also check to see which of your houses you have ruled by Aquarius, because that individually for you, that'll be the house that these themes that I'm going to be talking about are going to be coming into your life. And you can also apply that individually to yourself. So as we just mentioned, the themes of Pluto are with regards to power or power struggles, control, fears, mainly fears of being extinguished, surrender, transformation, and ultimately reaching enlightenment. So we can have both ends of the spectrum for Pluto. And then with Aquarius, I've come up with keywords that we will see happening that are going to be around our ideals and our desires for particular ideals. There will be themes of sensitivity and sacrifice, or we can also have like deep codependency and an inability to be interdependent. So Aquarius bring themes of independence, dependence, or interdependence. There's going to be themes of revolution and rebirth, definitely. Or we can also have the negative themes of that, which is themes of reaction and angry types of revolutions that does not bring radical changes. There will be themes of empathy and discernment that we will be embodying collectively, or we can also have themes of discord. There will also be themes of fantasy and anticipation, anticipating what's coming up in the future and tapping into the collective morphogenetic field, we can say, in order to bring about the future into the present day with regards to trends and themes that might be coming up. And we also have themes of justice as well, because there is a Capricorn Aquarius cusp point that involves this overlap of justice and realism, where we can also have the shadow of that, which is limitation as well. All right, so the next part of this video, I'm going to give you a summary of Pluto in Aquarius and the themes that will be coming up for the next 21 years. And then after that, we're going to go into specifically each year, we can say each year of Pluto in Aquarius. So I want to summarize Pluto being in the sign of Aquarius in general, that the themes that will be coming up for us as a collective and in humanity for the next 21 years, what the universe is now bringing to us in these times of change is the understanding that no real transformation can bring about a revolution or a change in our ideals if that transformation doesn't happen first inwardly. So we can say here that the deepest shadow of Aquarius, and this is the biggest shadow that we will experience as a collective, is looking outside of ourselves externally for revolution and for change, but not embodying the change in the self. If you guys really think about it, that's a hypocrite, right? You're trying to change the world, but you come back home and you have problems in your family. You have problems with your wife or your partner or your children. You're not raising your children, you're not raising your children correctly, but yet you are trying to help the orphans in the world. And so when your child grows up, they're going to turn out to be the kinds of people that are not going to help the orphans in the world, or maybe even go against that. So what are we actually doing when this Aquarius energy is looking outside of itself externally all the time without looking inwards in order to make deep transformative changes? We have revolutions and changes that never actually stand the test of time, and they never actually work. So if we only focus on the transformation of the power in society at a superficial level, this can lead to discord, reactivity, and chaos. However, if we do surrender to the fact that we can't be codependent on our society and on our community, but we have to be interdependent, which means that we have to be half independent on ourselves and half dependent on our society and our community. I hope that kind of made sense there. Because Aquarius energy is really about bringing the individual into the group. Aquarius energy is about bringing the individual into the group. It is not about being one and all with the group and losing your sense of individuality. That is the shadow of Aquarius. So if we surrender from the codependency to our societies and our community to transform ourselves, our families, and our personal relationships. So we're always looking for the opposite end of each of the zodiac signs to find balance. And the opposite sign of Aquarius is Leo. So we have to look back at our relationships, our love life, our families, all those Leonian things in order to transform that first before we can then go out into the world and make a change in society. And that is enlightenment for Pluto in Aquarius. To reach our true ideals and future progress, the inner rebirth has to take place first, which means the inner death, the death of the old self, the rebirth of the new self has to take place first before there can be a rebirth in society. And then that is when we're able to come into the society and transform the society via empathetic, sensitive revolutions to achieve true justice. Okay, so for the next part of this video, I am going to walk you through the different years that Pluto is in Aquarius. And I'm going to be doing this based on the gene keys. When Pluto in Aquarius changes its gene key transit, then we have a new theme coming up, all right? So I'm going to dig into it. Basically, I'm digging into the Aquarius archetype. And with regards to the gene keys, there's about 6. There are 6 gene keys that spans the archetype of Aquarius, because Aquarius, like all zodiac signs, have 30 degrees. So if we divide 30 degrees into 6, each gene key spans about 6 degrees. So we have 6 gene keys that covers the Aquarius archetype. So that is how we can look deeper into these Aquarius themes and see what's actually happening. Okay, and by the way, if you're not familiar with the gene keys, I highly recommend that you check out my gene keys playlist or my introduction video that I've made to the gene keys. I'm going to be finishing up my gene keys series on the 64 gene keys, hopefully by next month or the month after that. So I highly recommend that you check out all this information about the amazing gene keys. It is a combination of human design and astrology, and human design is a combination of gene keys and astrology. And astrology does not include human design in the gene keys. But anyways, do check that out. I'll provide a link to that in the description box below as well as up above. I want to say that as I'm going through these themes for particular years when Pluto in Aquarius changes gene keys, we want to look at these archetypes that I'm talking about as archetypes to develop inside of us to let the alignment of our true self come forth so that we can lead the way for a better world. So we want to let our individuality come into the collective and lead the way for a better future. So from March 2023 to December of 2025, so for 2 years, and actually with this cusp of Capricorn Aquarius, Pluto's already in this particular gene key, and that is gene key 60. So gene key 60 has the shadow of limitation, the gift of realism, and the city of justice. Between these years of 2023 to 2025, we have Saturn inside of Pisces, and we have Uranus inside of Taurus. So, and of course, Aquarius, Pluto and Aquarius and Uranus and Taurus are going to be at war with each other for a really long time. But what I'm seeing here with regards to the themes of justice, I'm really seeing a theme of feminine justice coming forth because of the Taurus and the Pisces energy that are coming into play. And when I say feminine justice here, I don't mean like the feminist movement. That's been done and for a really long time already. But I'm talking about like women coming together. So I'm going to talk about women coming together first, and I'm going to talk about the feminine in general. So we do see themes of women coming together, forming some kind of tribe. Sisterhoods and things are becoming very much in trend. And that being in itself a kind of justice that we are creating with regards to, well, the limitation that we want to transcend. And that limitation that we want to transcend is when we have women that are coming together, they're forming communities or whatever, but there's a conflict there. And that conflict arises from, most of the time, it's like jealousy or envy. And they're not able to empower each other, or they're not able to become sisters to each other. And because of that, we tend to fall into other areas of our life, especially in our personal relationships, that are not empowering. So sisterhoods and woman empowering woman is a theme that we see because when a woman is able to empower each other and feel that sense of sisterhood, they're able to feel powerful in their personal relationships with the other masculine in their relationship, whether that is another woman or another man. And this helps to build self-esteem and self-worth. Women coming together to help build self-esteem and self-worth for each other is one of the most powerful things that we can have. And of course, when we are talking about the feminine principle in general, we do see this theme of the feminine or the yin energy, finding its balance in the world with regards to the dominant yang energy that has been part of the patriarchal society for a really long time in our society. And we're now embracing a little bit more of that yin feminine coming in, which is more receptivity, which is slowing down a little bit, which is looking inwards, which is all about flow. But we also see this beautiful sort of like masculinity or yang energy. This is about feminine energy, which we all have, whether we're biologically male or female, and masculine energy, which we all have, whether we're biologically male or female. This is yin and yang energy. These are the two forces that requires balance in the universe. So we also see this rise of more feminine masculine energy as well, which means a conscious masculine energy coming into play. Masculine energy that embraces sensuality and flow and receptivity. So it's a really beautiful sort of time of creating this kind of justice in the world. From December 2025 to February 2028, Pluto in Aquarius will move into gene key 41. And it will stay there for 3 years. And gene key 41 moves from the shadow, has a shadow of fantasy, the gift of anticipation, and the city of emanation. And during those times in 2026, Saturn will ingress into Aries. And in 2027, Uranus will ingress into Gemini. And I really see this, there almost seems to be a theme here in regards to how we relate to others, because Gemini is very relational and Uranus is coming into that very relational, social, communicative signs. Saturn into Aries, however, is going to spark within all of us our individuality. So it almost seems like there is this struggle between the self and the friends, the societies, the people that we want to relate to. And so I think this is going to be a really important time, these years when from 2025 to 2028, where we are tapping into the morphogenetic fields, we could even say. However you might want to interpret that, or there's this theme of us reaching out for people, but also who we can become in the future and bringing that into the present day. This is going to be a boom in terms of trends of the future that are coming and being ignited, initiated in the present day, almost like you bring the thunders of the future into the present day to start something. So these are the times of booming trends. New trends are going to come up, new types of leaderships that are going to be formed in the world, and could be really exciting times, but also a time of taking a lot of action rather than fantasizing about that as well. So if during, from 2025 to 2028, companies or individuals have these like almost premonitions of what could be done to better the future in some ways, and they're not acting out on that, that will suppress the energy and may even have repercussions later. But if it is acted upon, this can really begin the spark of something very, very powerful. So then we have from February 2028 to December of 2032, that spans 4 years, Pluto in Aquarius ingresses into Gene Key 19. So Gene Key 19 has a shadow of codependency, the gift of sensitivity, the city of sacrifice. During those times, in 2028, Saturn will ingress into Taurus, and in 2030, Saturn will ingress into Gemini. So within the span of this 4 years, when Pluto is still in Gene Key 19, Saturn changes signs twice from Taurus into Gemini. I really feel like this is going to be a time where there will be a call for us to reevaluate our independent sensitivity. So things that we may not realize right now that we are extremely sensitive to, the compassion that we have locked inside all of us, the sensitivities that we have not just to our own needs, but to the needs of every single living organism in the world, animals and plants that we are not sensitive to right now, this will heighten that sensitivity. So I'm looking at these times as like environmental changes that are going to be happening. And if it is happening for the better, these are going to be a big times of, so from like 2028 to 2032, like really big times in terms of really coming together and considering our impact on the environment, because that hurts us. And we know how much that hurts other living organisms in the world when we as a collective have amassed wealth and created technologies that are over polluting the world and are just going at a much faster rate than Mother Nature or Gaia can even follow along with or support. And I also think that there will be these themes of a change in individually our financial structures. So if we are not able to be financially independent, from 2028 to 2032, we will have almost like feel this force or this push to restructure our lives so that we can actually be financially independent. How can we do that? Kind of coming up to this, like, how can we be sensitive to our needs and what we're actually good at and what we can actually do in our lives, our potentials and our talents, so that we can be financially independent in some ways. There's, Gene Key 19 is so powerful in terms of shifting the dynamic of relationships. So currently in the modern day and age, relationships are a lot of the times based on needs. Can this person fulfill my needs? Can I fulfill their needs? And that's perfectly fine. But when we have Gene Key 19, like evolving our genes as a collective, as human beings, we can almost begin to anticipate that the future of human beings, one-to-one relationships, and maybe we already see this happening now, but like one-to-one relationships are in the background. And if, however, one-to-one relationships are in the foreground for you, then it has to be one where there's no codependency, where it's not like my needs, your need, how can we meet each other's needs? But it's like, how can I meet my own needs and enjoy my time with you? Consciously choose you as a partner so that we're able to be companions to each other's in our lives and have fun together and explore together, but I meet my own needs and you meet your own needs, and we don't have that, dependency in that way. That kind of makes sense. Or if, one-to-one relationships are not in the foreground for you, then communal types of relationships will become something in the foreground. Or, relationships where it's like, yeah, it's not just two people anymore. It's three or it's four. So, and then we have from December 2032 to January 2036, Pluto in Aquarius will ingress into Jinki 13, which has the shadow of discord, the gift of discernment, and the city of empathy. And that's going to be happening for 4 years. In that period, in 2032, Saturn and Uranus will both ingress into Cancer. And in 2035, Saturn will ingress into Leo. With this theme of the past, the themes of the past seem to be a major factor at play from 2032 to 2036. Okay, so I feel like from 2023 to 2036, right? These years, these next 13 years, almost feels like a preparation for the real revolution. And before we can have the real revolution, we need to have a time to reflect on the past. So in this case, we're talking about the past when, what has been happening from 2023 to 2036 when Pluto has been in Aquarius, what has been happening there? So reflecting those years, but also reflecting the entirety of the human history. And that reflection, the ability to be able to understand and grasp the growth and the evolution of humanity and that timeline is what is going to help us to know what is it that we have to focus on next as a collective for the next stage of the revolution or the rebirth. I hope that kind of made sense. So I really feel that being the theme there. Now, this, does require a certain amount of us building our empathy. When we are reflecting on the past, we are triggering various different parts of our solar plexus, parts of our emotions that will open up to lots of feelings that will come up with regards to that and build our empathy, which results in a mental understanding of the patterns of humanity. So if we don't have a good grasp of the patterns of humanity in general, we won't be able to cultivate a sense of empathy. And sometimes we, as a collective, rush the process of revolution because we are reacting and we're in this impulsivity of, maybe we see a group of people that are misbehaving to another group of people. We see corrupted governments, starting wars and things. And we have a very strong desire to change that, right? We have a lot of passion to change that. We have a lot of anger inside of us. But if we look at the whole timeline of humanity, we see that these things are normal. Not to say that they should be normal or to say that they are good because they're normal, but they just are a part of the healing process of the world. They are part of the evolution of humankind in general. People cannot evolve if they are, this is not true for all of us, but a lot of the people cannot evolve if they are not triggered or pushed or forced or are learning the lessons of their mistakes. Sometimes, for a lot of us, really, maybe all of us, we do have to be triggered in that way so that we do evolve and we do change. So there's a purpose and a reason behind all of the things that we consider as suffering or we consider as immoral in the world that's happening, that's causing hurt and pain and suffering in the world. There's a purpose and there's a reason behind all of that. If we look at the span of humanity in general, we see how they are like a domino, how they have affected each other and brought us to where we are today. Then we would be able to have some empathy and to really understand what we need to do next. Because then we have from January 2036 to March 2039, when Pluto in Aquarius ingresses into Jinki 49, which has the shadow of reaction, the gift of revolution, and the city of rebirth. So you can see how, before 2036. So from 2023 to 2036, it's like a preparatory stage for the real revolution. And if we do this right, if we do the Aquarius energy right, then we can really have something quite beautiful happening, blooming in the revolutionary era that is coming to us. And when I was looking at this date, the date of August the 7th, 2038 was the one that caught my eye. Now, I can't exactly remember. There were a couple of alignments there that really caught my eye, and I feel strongly that that is an important year and date. So something there about it. But also within this 3-year time span, in 2037, we have Saturn ingressing into Virgo, and we have in 2039, Saturn ingresses into Libra, and Uranus ingresses into Leo. So I do not know what this revolution would look like. I cannot say right now, in this body, in this present moment that I am in, what that would look like, and I don't want to pretend to know what that revolution would actually look like. But I think if we are preparing the stages correctly and we are, looking for this successful revolution, we are actually going to be making practical changes that will lead us into a better world. So we'll be building up, like maybe in our business, in our own businesses, in our own companies, a way where we can be more environmentally friendly, where we can listen to the past and have a vision that goes in the right direction for what we need to evolve into as a collective. Maybe we are working within our own families, raising our children in the way where they become the better version of human beings for the future. And, maybe we are considering our financial situation and what we're capable of with the current financial situation that we have, so that we are not in a stage of bankrupt and then we lash out, for example, into our families, and then we create that kind of dynamic that's not healthy for the loved ones around us. Maybe we are working towards healing. Maybe we're getting into spirituality. There definitely, I think, either 2025 or 2028 being a really big year where things like, shamanism, healing, spirituality, astrology, maybe it's human design, whatever that is, being more mainstream, coming into life, into the world a little bit more. And of course, we have technology and the internet to help us to get there. But yeah, so doing those kinds of various different practical things that will really create a lasting revolution, rather than the display of revolution because of impulsivity or anger. From March 2039 to January 2044, Pluto in Aquarius ingresses into Gene Key 30. That has the shadow of desire, the gift of lightness, and the city of rapture. And that's 5 years that, because that there's a cusp there. There's a cusp of Pluto slowly transitioning from Aquarius into Pisces. So it's going to last a little bit longer in this particular gene key. But there's a particular year there as well, and that's in 2040 to 2043. We have Saturn ingressing into Scorpio. Uranus stays in Leo. Neptune ingresses into Taurus, and Pluto stays in Aquarius. So if you really look at the modalities of the outer planets and their stay in the zodiac wheel, Saturn in Scorpio, Uranus in Leo, Neptune in Taurus, Pluto in Aquarius, these are the fixed modalities. We're going to have this fixed grand cross during that time. And this fixed grand cross is going to make us very restless, especially if Pluto is in Gene Key 30, the gene key of desire, lightness, and rapture. So this restlessness, I don't know how it's going to play out, but it's going to be a result of the revolution that we are creating the years before. If we were successful in those revolutions in some ways, we'll just feel lighter and we'll feel more stable, and almost like there is like our ideals have been created and manifested in the real world in the way that we had desired it to be. Our objectives, our goals, our dreams, they've manifested in the world in form. On the shadow end of things, if we haven't been doing those revolutions correctly, this fixed grand cross is going to create, I feel, a trial and error phase in humanity. meaning that we don't know where we're going to go anymore. We don't know what else we're going to do to make changes, because we thought we had prepared for the revolution in the right way, but we hadn't, and now we don't know where to go anymore. So we can have chaos happening if we're not doing the revolution correctly. We can't have like a desire to try anything just for the sake of trying, because we don't know where we want to go anymore, and that can lead to either a forest fire, it can be literally, but not literally. I just meant this metaphorically. Like, it seems like there's a forest fire happening in the world. But if you're lucky, for example, if you could be lucky, and it might not lead to a forest fire, it may lead to that lightness of feeling like, okay, we're ascending together as a collective, but it's 50-50 if we haven't done the revolution correctly. I'm really channeling here. It's just coming out of me, and I don't know. You guys can interpret this however way that you might want to interpret it. And this is not coming from Google. This is not me listening to any other astrologer. This is just me sending my internal voice, my inner messages to you guys today in the way that I feel and in the way that I see it happening. All right, so I think that's going to be it for my Pluto in Aquarius video for you guys today. And comment below if you have any planets in your birth chart in Aquarius, maybe it's in Leo, in Taurus, or in Scorpio. The fixed signs are going to be experiencing this massive transformation. The more fixed energy you have, the more you will experience this transformation, of course, personally for yourself. But for us as a collective, it's just going to be felt as a collective as well. And yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you haven't. If you already subscribed, then thank you very much for coming along, beautiful souls. And I will see you very soon. Next video that I'm going to be releasing will be a continuation of my Gene Key series, because I'm going to be finishing that off this year as soon as possible. So you can all get a chance to listen to your Gene Keys. And yeah, sending you a lot of rebirth. Bye.